Next one, please. Okay. These are some statistics, you know. If you talk about the kind of things, number always very impressive, but sometimes I said, okay, I give you all the numbers. What does it mean? It's almost like, sorry about it, and business school graduates, you know, it's like the case studies, which is obituaries, you know. I mean, it's over. It's done. Okay. All right. So that's, and you can see when the Taiwan's industry coming up, many of the investment come from the company. That has a good or bad, because good, you have money. Bad is you're influenced by behind the big company. Big company, as you know, usually are more conservative. It's not very conducive to risk-taking entrepreneurs. Okay, next one, please. This again shows, you know, how the capital in the Taiwan and forming. And sorry, this one chart here is in NT dollar. The number looks great, but you have to divide it by 30. So in order to convert into the U.S., because I copied from the Taiwan publication. Next one, please. And as you can see, in the 85 time, very little. And then in the 1995 taking off, when they get rich and they want to have more, so they set up the incubator centers. The incubator centers started in like in the Italy, in the Shinju's Institute, and they provide space, facilities, and also engineering capabilities to help startups. And the interesting thing in Taiwan is, if you have one, the other people wants to have it too. So therefore, total right now, I think today is about 30 plus incubator centers in Taiwan. Now, some are more successful than the others. And by the same token, you know, a lot of people want to go to college. During my days, Taiwan only have 3 colleges. Taiwan University and the Tainan one, and another is a teacher's college. That's about 3 of them. Nowadays, Taiwan has 165 colleges. Can you imagine a small island, only have 21 million people, you have 65 colleges. There's a lot of college graduates, right? So, so the incubator is coming up, and with about 30-some across the land of Taiwan, which is only 400 miles by 150 miles wide a place. Next, please. This is, and of course, you know, Taipei is probably the concentration of most of the business activities. So therefore, VCs are concentrated in Taipei. So you want to make a presentation, get money, you have to go to a lot of dinners in Taipei. And over the dinner table, that's the best place to talk about things. And in the southern area, it's much less. That's why there always you hear people in Taiwan say they want to develop the southern part of Taiwan. But it takes a while, because the south and north is interesting. Every place, you know, south and north, they are different. Even in California, right? And so the mentality, thinking is quite different. So it takes a while for the South to catch up.
Bevan, can I interrupt you with a question? The really interesting thing about this is that how few VCs there are in Hsinchu City itself.
Well, you see, Hsinchu City, you drive to Taipei is 1 hour.
Oh, okay.
And good restaurant and good places are all in Taipei, so who wants to stay in Hsinchu, right?
Okay.
Well, so after I retired from IBM, and at that time, I think Morris Chang was the chief of ITRI. Mm-hmm. So I happened to be in Korea and present a paper. So I said, well, Morris is over there, stop over there, since we both same time back in Stanford together here. So he said, why don't you come back? I said, what I come back here to do? He said, whatever you want to do. I have them in each tree. I said, oh, really? I said, good. I want to automate the semiconductor manufacturing. He says, done. He lifted the phone cord, and in the evening I got a job offer. So I went back to join the tree. That's just how it was done. But I lived in there for 6 years. I got to come back. I couldn't take it anymore. Because, you know, Hsinchu is a nice city, but just different. It's not Palo Alto. So I just come back to Palo Alto. Next, please. And this is whoever you're interested in this data, you can have it. It just shows, you know, how they distribute it into what stage and so forth. Again, you know, like I said, it's all past the history. Next, please. And here's something interesting is how the earnings of those per share and changed. So the golden age is really in the 67, 68 in that era. Next one, please. So then comes the crunch. 2000 bubble affected everywhere. And the government canceled the tax incentives. Used to be very good tax incentive. Then that affected everything. And China coming up. Therefore, the Taiwan government wouldn't allow certain investment to mainland China. And like I told you in that other chart, if you have a policy at the top, people will find a way to defeat it. Therefore, they can go through Cayman Island. They can go through all kinds of different things. The money goes to China. And they invest over there because they see the market. Besides, you can speak the same language. And thinking is pretty much the same, but just different behavior. So they, and also both Taiwan and USA later on, we have interesting president. And to put it mildly, that each one did some damage to their own country. And the economy in Taiwan went downhill pretty bad, okay? And the VCs becomes very conservative. Very few seed funding and ask for purchasing order first before they give you money. And move to traditional industry because it's more dependable. Probably the best one to invest is a restaurant, maybe. So, sounds familiar. I mean, that's VC over here behave the same way too, right? I'm sure some of you know that. Next, please. So, turns out to be both people and money move to the West, no matter what the government trying to stop them. So, you name it the places, the Taiwanese people are there. And China, in the beginning, needed very much of the Taiwanese people's contact, the experience in the international market, how to behave, because China has been closed the door for so long, they have to catch up. So in the great Shanghai area, 400,000 Taiwanese there. And that actually also causes a lot of problems, because they stay in there so long by themselves, their families in Taiwan, and the girls in Shanghai are very nice. So most of them have a second family there. So that causes some problems for Taiwan. Yeah. And then they started a semiconductor business called the SMIC. I'm sure some of you know about that. SMIC, the chief of this guy, used to be in Hsinchu Park. It's in a subsidiary of TSMC. So he went over there, started a semiconductor, and then of course he would go through whatever the channel to get the TSMC people went over there. So as far as unofficially, I knew more than 150 TSMC defectors went over there. So that helped them to get up off the ground. Then the actual Taiwan investment, Richard asked me to find out. And that's a very interesting story. In other words, officially, You look at the government's publication, said how many investment cases the Ministry of Economic of the Development of Administration of Taiwan has approved, and how much money is. If you look at that, it's probably,
or
yeah, almost, it's only like less than $10 billion at most. But if you really look at other data, try to add them up, it's between 100 billion and 150 billion.
And you're thinking in U.S. dollars here, right?
In U.S. dollars.
Yeah.
There's a U.S. dollars here. Yeah. So therefore, so go west. So maybe another reason why the VCs are not very interested in starting any business in Taiwan, because let's face it, right? Resource and people and so forth is relatively limited. Okay. So next chart, please. If you look at this chart here, this is the not government statistics, okay? So it's more or less reasonable to believe that. And look at the shares of in Taiwan's investment. That's a huge percentage of Taiwan's investment, but it's in mainland China. So economically, these two places, I don't believe they can even separate. You know, one can't get by without the other. So, next one, please.